If there is only one thing that you plan to really focus on and follow through with teaching, this is it. Not only will it allow your dog much more freedom when they can be trusted off leash, but it will ensure that they can have that freedom safely. A bomb-proof recall can save your dog from potentially dangerous situations, such as running into the street after another dog, a potential wildlife threat, and more. Not to mention, it's pretty fun to see all the other dog owners' faces when you whistle for your dog from 100 yards away at Dog Beach and he comes running to you like an arrow, leading them to question, how the hell did he do that?
Cowboy, down. Come. Okay.
Sound cool? All right, let's get started. I'm going to break this down step by step into actionable pieces that you can execute on and make it happen. Since this is such an important lesson and there are so many components to it, I'm going to break it down into multiple parts, and this is going to be part 1. So let's dive in. As we start to get into the tactical execution of some of these training commands, there are a few things to keep in mind. Your body posture, energy, tonality of your voice, and timing of praise or corrections are all going to be very, very important for dialing in these commands and allowing you to clearly communicate what it is exactly that you want your dog to be doing. Consistency and clarity are key. Whichever command you choose, it should be the one you stick with. Here or come are the most common for recall. You're going to want to choose whichever one comes to you more naturally. Now, in the beginning, you're going to really want to set your young puppy or dog up for success, no matter their age. That means starting in a controlled environment, such as a narrow hallway in your home, where the easiest route for them to go is actually right to you. This stage in the recall journey is filled with treats and positive excitement. Make yourself extremely interesting and exciting so they want to run towards you, and reward them heavily when they do, with lots of love, some treats, and praise. This stage is all about having fun. Because working breeds are so intelligent, they will likely learn this phase pretty fast. Some dogs may even get it in a day or two, others a week or two. So spend some time and make sure you really get some solid, successful recalls in this stage before moving on to the next. Once you feel your dog really understands what the command come means, or whatever command it is that you chose, it's time to take it up a notch. The way I have taught Cowboy and many other dogs to have such great recall is starting with a long line. You can use a piece of really long rope, probably about 15 to 20 foot is fine, and tie that to the end of their collar. Now, they're pretty cheap online. If you want to buy one specifically for dogs, you can search dog long line, which if you aren't handy with DIY stuff, I recommend, because you really don't want this to break while you're practicing. If you are more handy with DIY stuff, you can literally use a piece of like climbing rope and a carabiner. You can use a few treats here and there in this stage, but you're going to want to start weaning off of treats, and I'll tell you why. When a dog is rewarded with treats, if you don't have that treat, they tend to not listen. Or if you do have the treat, if there's something more enticing, such as a rabbit running into the road, they're probably going to pick whichever option is of more interest to them. Coming to you when called is not optional. It should not be up for debate, okay? When you say come, they stop whatever they're doing at that moment and come to you. Working breeds are very strong-headed, so you'll really have to be very consistent when they test the boundaries and almost act like they're ignoring you, which in some cases, I'm sure they will. Expect them to, and use it as a teaching moment rather than getting frustrated. So the long line is simply a tool, and it's going to be a tool in our tool belt that we use to clearly communicate with our dog. What the long line allows us to do is have control over them when they're far away and not listening. Rather than waving a treat in the air like a crazy person and begging for them to return, you can reel them in if you need to. So you're going to be starting by saying your dog's name, followed by your chosen command. Example, cowboy, come. This gets your dog attention first by calling their name, then followed by the command. You're going to want to say this in upbeat, happy, energetic, just a very fun tone to get them to come to you. You're going to find that the tone of your voice sometimes matters more than what you're actually saying. If your dog comes, great, that's awesome, good job. Keep practicing. Do it until they don't. If you can catch them when they do not listen in a controlled environment and can correct them, you could save their life in a real-world situation. This will be all about timing and pressure. Applying pressure and releasing, much like you would when training to herd as well, or pretty much training any animal, horses, anything like that. Now, when they don't come, this is the important part, so listen up here, guys. You're not going to keep repeating yourself, saying, come, 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 10,000 times. That dilutes the power of the word, and we want this to be an extremely powerful word that has instant meaning and expectation tied to it. So you're going to say your dog's name, come, and when they don't, you say no in a stern voice and give them a pop on the long line attached to their collar. If they start to come to you after you say that, then you say come again as they're on their way towards you to reinforce the command and praise them with tons and tons of excitement. So if they didn't come to you after that first stern no, then you will want to start reeling them in on the long line until they start to voluntarily run towards you. Once they're voluntarily moving in your direction and it's their idea, then you can say come and continue with the praise. You want it to be their idea here, and they get rewarded with praise when it's their idea to come to you. See what we're doing? It behooves them to come to you rather than when their idea is to ignore you, and that results in a collar correction and a stern reprimand for naught. These dogs do not like to get yelled at. They just want to please their masters. I don't want you to think that a pop on the collar is going to hurt your dog. These dogs were bred to get kicked in the head by cows, okay? They're literally tough as nails. Just like humans, however, consequences motivate us far more than positive reinforcement. So I still think incorporating positive reinforcement into your training is a must. But when it comes to recall, we can't be messing around with this. This could save your dog's life. And when you say come, they need to listen. The strength of your collar correction will depend on the dog that's in front of you. It usually doesn't take much, just a nudge to snap them out of whatever they were focusing on rather than you. I typically just use a flat collar for teaching this, since other styles of collar don't really work that well when the dog is so far away and there's so much slack in the leash. So I'll be talking about the good and bad of different collars in another video here soon, but I recommend just starting with a flat collar here. When you master this phase, that is when you can begin to add more distracting environments, things you may encounter in the real world. Each time your dog makes a mistake, if you catch it and can correct it, every time you do that, it exponentially increases how cemented this command is in their brain. It takes a lot of reps and practice, but if there's only one thing you practice from this course, please make this it. All right? So I'm going to be showing you guys a demo now. Let's dive into the real thing.
It's important to practice realistic recalls too, guys. It doesn't really matter if your dog comes to you perfectly when they're in a down stay or a sit and they're staring right at you, totally engaged. What matters is if they come to you when they're distracted, running the other direction towards something. So when you're doing your recalls, don't always just call them from when have them in a down stay. Call them and practice with the long line when they're loose leash, when they're walking around, moving the other direction. Make it kind of dynamic when you're calling them back to you. Hey, down. Cowboy. Down. Good boy. Cowboy, come. No. Sit. Good boy. Good dog. The whole point of off-leash responsibility and off-leash trust is basically just to allow your dog to have that freedom and not, sometimes they can get kind of frustrated and constricted when you walk them on a leash all the time. But as you start to build trust with this, it's a really great way to not only give your dog more trust and build the relationship together, but also just allow them that freedom. The long line is just such an epic tool. It's something we're going to be using a lot. We're going to be using it for creating downs from a distance. We're going to be even using it for recall, obviously. You can use it for herding. There's all kinds of stuff. It's just an awesome tool, and really simple and effective. So it allows us to have that clear line of communication with our dog for demonstrating what exactly we want from them.
What's up, everyone? Sitting out front of this cafe here with Cowboy, off leash on a downstay. But I hope you guys got some value out of that recall video. If there's one thing you teach your dog, that's seriously it. So I hope that helped. And if you guys are interested, we still have availability in Cattle Dog Academy. There's a super awesome community going on in there. Just tons of people experienced with cattle dogs and other working breeds who are there to help you. I'm there to help you. We have tons of videos, new ones being uploaded each week. Everything from breed history all the way to basic obedience, manners, anything you guys can think of, tricks. And we're also going to be tossing in some stuff with herding from guest speakers as well. So it's super cool. It's just the #1 spot to be if you have a cattle dog. It's only $6 to join right now. I don't know if that price is going to still be available when you guys see this video. But even still, it's like the price of a cup of coffee a month. That's my goal with this, is to help as many people with their dogs as possible. So I hope that you guys can swing $6 and join us to improve your relationship with your dog and meet some other awesome cattle dog owners. So hope to see you inside.